Here's my collection of parts that I've already started to purchase for my new 2025 DR-Z4S from Suzuki. So we've got a Garmin wiring kit and mount for the Zumo XT2. Here's a quick review of the mount and the wiring harness for the Garmin Zumo XT. So this is the mounting plate right here. I'll also have to buy a RAM ball that goes on the back. And then the wiring harness, it just slips in here, screws into place, and then you've got these 4 pins. Somewhere down here there's a little, actually there's only 2 pins. There's a little rubber cap to give it some protection when you don't have the GPS on there. And then this is just a RAM mounting system right there. I've also got the battery tender lead. I always keep my bikes on a battery tender throughout the off-riding season. Current DR-Z is notorious for having a battery drain of some sort, so most people will almost always keep the battery on a battery tender when they're not riding it. In fact, that's what I do. If I'm not riding the bike, I keep it on a battery tender. So here's what it looks like out of the package. I've actually replaced the ring terminals here to get a little bit more compact terminal in, because these are big and bulky and they kind of impede the ability to connect other things to your battery. So we've got a fuse here too. Here I've got a set of grip heaters by SimTech. They're the Heat Demon version, and we're going to open those up. One of the things that I like about these is they don't use a resistor like a lot of the lower end, less expensive heated grip kits use. Instead, I'll show this to you as soon as I get this out of the bag. They have a high and a low heating element. So we've got 3 wires here, blue, red, white, and then each of those connects to a separate coil. I think the white wire is the ground, but then blue and red connect to a different heating element. So both heating elements are running when they're set to high, and then only one heating element is running when they're set to low. So included in the kit, we've got a switch, a couple of little wire connectors, a little pigtail wire, and then a zip tie. And then we've also got this great big piece of heat shrink tubing. So this piece of heat shrink tubing goes on your clutch side to give some insulation from the bars so that the handlebars don't act like a great big heat sink and suck all the heat out. So these are going to be really nice. The advantage here of having 2 heating elements for high and low versus a resistor is you don't have to deal with the resistor and trying to figure out where to tie the resistor back to keep it from melting your wires. So using a resistor is sort of an old school method of having a heated grip kit with a high and a low setting. So this is a much better system. I've been running these on my 2002 DR-Z since 2006, and other than replacing the switch a few times because it's gotten water in it, I've not had any issues whatsoever. It's still the same set of grip heaters 18 years later. Next up, I have some mirrors. These are a budget version of the double take mirrors. Having multiple bikes, it's tough to justify spending so much money on the double take mirrors when I have multiple sets. So I thought I would try some less expensive aftermarket knockoff brand from Amazon. So these are Suzuki. I'll have a link in the description below. I will probably end up switching this arm out for a lower or a shorter arm because, like I will mention here in a little bit when I show you the mirrors that I have on my current DR-Z, having a mirror stick up so high when you're doing a lot of off-road riding, it kind of drives me bonkers. It's just sort of a visual obstruction to the terrain and whatnot, and they just sort of annoy me after a while. On my current DR-Z, I've been running these double take mirrors for about 1.5 years now, and I absolutely hate them because they stick up so high. Prior to these, I had some little mirrors mounted right here to the handlebars, and I have run that style mirror for probably 25 years or so. So switching over to these, it just drives me nuts having something stick up so far above the handlebars when I'm riding off-road. Plus this one tends to fall down because I just can't get this clamp any tighter than that. On my current DR-Z400, I have a bracket that replaced the passenger foot peg and holds the exhaust. On the foot peg, and this is going to be the same thing from what I can tell on the DR-Z4S, the passenger foot peg has an integrated mounting point for the exhaust. So this bracket and subframe and everything appears to be the same on the DR-Z4S. I haven't ordered this bracket yet, but I'll have a link down in the description below for that piece. Next up, I've got two different styles of grips. Pro Grip 737 Rally grips, that's what I have on my current DR-Z. I will probably not use those. I think I'm going to switch over to these, the Odie Extra Soft Compound. This is kind of a waffle style. I have these on my KTM 450 EXC, and they work really, really good. They are kind of a little bit of sort of a soft compound, as it says right there, plus they kind of give you a little bit of vibration dampening if you're on a bike that vibrates a lot, which I don't expect that to be the case with the DR-Z4S. Another thing I've got here is a Tusk spare tube carrier for the front fender. I've used that or a similar brand on my other dual sport bikes since I started riding. I'll move some of this stuff out of the way here and I'll show you my hand guards. I'm going to go just a little bit different route on hand guards. On my current DR-Z, I have standard Cycra Pro Bent style hand guards. These are the Ultra CRM version. I'll throw a little clip up of what my current hand guards look like as well as what these look like installed on the bike. So we've got a black aluminum bar here. This is the end protector. Well, you get the idea. They attach. There we go. That's how they are attached. And then we have hardware that holds it in place right here and up there at that end. And then we have the little wind guards here, the hand protectors. And then we've also got some little snap-ins, shields that pop into place to give you more wind protection in cold weather riding. And then all of the hardware is over here. So these are nice because they work for a variety of different bends of bars. You've got multiple mounting points. And then multiple mounting points right here too. On my current DR-Z, I have been running the Tusk D-Sport rear tire. I think this is the second one that I've had on it. Probably installed the first one in about 2020 maybe. On the front, I have been running an Pirelli MT21. I've never tried anything other than an MT21 dating back to my first DR350, which probably switched to the MT21 back in about 1996. I'm kind of superstitious with the front tire. I have not been brave enough to try anything else because the MT21 works good for me. Maybe in another year or so I'll try something else on the DR-Z4S. So here I have a new Tusk D-Sport and then I have a Tusk Waypoint Adventure. So on the DR-Z4S I'm going to go ahead and try a different tire. I'm going to switch to the Waypoint, see how that does. I've read a lot of good reviews on it that people are getting 4,000 plus miles out of it. So that's why I want to try something a little bit different on the new bike, because I'd like to have something that I get more than 2 seasons out of. If I do a lot of riding on my current DR-Z, like 2,500 to 3,000 miles, by the end of that season or the end of that amount of miles, the tire's pretty much shot. Back when I used to do 2,500 to 3,500 miles a year, I would go through a rear tire every year. It's been a long time since I've done that much riding in one season though, so generally right now I'm getting about 2 years out of a rear tire. So this one, I'll put this one on the current DR-Z400 I have when it wears out. And I do have another new Pirelli MT21 sitting up in my shop. I don't know for sure if I'll put that on the DR-Z4S, or maybe it's time to try something a little bit different. So if you've got any recommendations on what you would try for a front tire that's kind of comparable or maybe a little bit better than NMT21, throw those down in the comments below. So that basically wraps up all of the parts that I've purchased so far. There's a couple more things that I am going to probably purchase, but I'd prefer to wait till the bike arrives before I start buying those parts, just to make sure that some of the items will fit. One would be a luggage rack, number 2 would be a skid plate, and also probably a rear fender eliminator with a new slim tail light.